nothing harder than it's true. Welcome to Dallas, we lost some legends. Welcome to Dallas, we're hood, you reppin', be careful. You know the rest of the steps. Welcome to Dallas.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? Poofy Man back again with another episode. Episode 30, ladies and gents. Let's hear it for the kid. Alright, so today we're gonna, in as little time as we have, try to tackle a pretty complicated ordeal here. So, the Israel invasion of Gaza, right, and the subsequent war that's followed has driven people insane. From the get-go, off the jump, there was always going to be a group of people that were clearly going to defend Hamas and all these other things, just because it was going to be trendy, apparently. But aside from that, there seems to be this general consensus, like a social consensus, that has developed basically to close in and kind of condemn the Zionist sort of agenda, right? And a lot of it is erupted into sort of this low-key sort of prejudice against Jewish people, right? And this isn't like a new thing, obviously. This is a historical precedent. What people need to understand, though, is that their hatred is developed off of a false equivalency. And I'm not even sure if many Jewish people actually understand this. Me, myself, I'm not Jewish. I didn't grow up particularly religious. So, again, there's things I don't know, perhaps, but I am going to offer up a different perspective on this. Little background, I grew up, went to a school from the time I was little to the time I graduated with a concentrated student body made up of Jewish kids. Me and maybe a couple of other of my buddies, shout out Andrew Matt, we're not Jewish, but aside from that, this is where I'm very close to the situation. I'm closer now than I even ever was. And so hear me out. So what people need to understand is that Judaism, that's a religion. It's a preferred set of beliefs that one can espouse at any point of their life. They can espouse it or dispel it at any point that they want. And I'll give you an example. So long as you have 6 months or 6 weeks of time and a mentor to do it. I know this because my sister, she had converted to Judaism because she fell in love with a Jewish man and they got married. But in order to get married, the family felt like it was preferred if she was Jewish. So she converted to Judaism. She grew up like me, obviously, without really a religious preference. She was just kind of left to pick whatever her spirit kind of led her to. So my point being is, you can even choose to be Jewish or choose not to be Jewish. You can choose to be Jewish whether you're born in America or born in Israel. There's no actual link between the state of Israel and Jewish people as a religious sect, okay? That's a choice they make. There are plenty of people, and yes, Israel is a concentrated population of Jewish people. It's not exclusive to Jewish people. There's no actual hard line between the Israeli the state, the political state of Israel, and Judaism. There's no relationship whatsoever. It's a false equivalency, okay? So if you're a person who has found yourself kind of broiling up this kind of a bit of resentment towards Jewish people based off of what Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu is doing, I want you to understand that your entire line of reasoning is built on a false premise, which makes it wrong. Not wrong morally. I mean, mathematically wrong. It doesn't make sense. right? Jewish people have nothing to do with the state of Israel. So, little back history. Israel, Jewish people, the nexus of Judaism was emerged from this area thousands of years ago, 3,000 years ago, okay? But Jewish people, despite the fact that's where the concept of Judaism was birthed, Jewish people did not organize and mobilize as a group to take power and then defend the boundaries of what is now Jerusalem or Israel. Instead, they were pretty much chased out and dispersed across Europe, right? So, as fate would have it, I mean, it's kind of what caused a lot of resentment over the years, I think, for nationalistic states that ended up turning inward on their own population. For instance, Hitler is the best example, and what he saw was a small population of Jewish folks who had embedded themselves in Germany, but he claimed they didn't have any right to German soil or German economy or anything like that, and they were taking advantage of the blood lost on German war fronts that they didn't fight for. Well, all that being said, following the defeat of Germany in World War II, we decided, whilst we had the power of the pen, to basically draw a boundary and create a state that we now call Israel and put it into reality. And this was going to be a place where Jewish people were free to migrate and build a life free from the concern of other people. They did not have to live by, they could create their own state, their own politics, and determine their own fate. But it's manufactured. It was manufactured by a political body, okay? And so you have to understand that, like, just because someone's from Israel, they're Israeli, doesn't make every Israeli a Jewish person. Judaism is a decision you make. You are not born Jewish. Jewish people do not have a particular look. You cannot discern a Jewish person from a Christian person. Not typically. Not by any measurable standard or observable standard. So understand that, like, not every Jewish person not any Jewish person really is definitely related to decisions made by the post-World War II state of politics in Israel, okay? They're not related. So stop, conflating those two things. But here's the kicker, though. It's not all in defense of Jews either, okay? So this isn't the first time that we've had a problem where we've conflated religion with state, okay? I was alive during 9/11. I watched the towers fall. And even as a young person, I was a senior, or maybe not as a freshman in high school, it was hard to discern the difference between what these 7 dumbass idiot terrorists did and every walking Muslim on earth, okay? And that's probably has a lot to do with just like the severity of the consequence of the event and all of that and being young. But, because of that, there are millions of Muslims today that now, under extreme duress, right, and under the consequence of death, perhaps, or threats on their lives, have stood up against the violent text in the Quran. I think it's called fatwa. It's kind of a belief set that completely dismantles or disavows those portions of text in their religious text, and so they've done that at great physical, consequence. They face threats all the time, and it's very serious. I get all that. What I don't see, though, back to Jewish people, is like this realization that not everything Israel does has to be defended by you. You are not inextricably linked to Benjamin Netanyahu. So in the case that you don't agree with some of the brutality that happens in Palestine, you are allowed to make a decision to not follow Israel off a cliff. You don't have to do that. You're not obliged by blood or by some misplaced oath of honor to do that. Okay? You will not be a bad Jew because Jews are not bad. They're not bad Jews because they don't like Benjamin Netanyahu. Half the country hates him in Israel. So just consider the fact that, like, you know, you don't have, I just don't hear a whole lot of Jewish people also disavowing some of the things going on during that war, and they're allowed to do it. You're not related to Israel. Israel is a piece of land. Okay? Religion can be espoused or disavowed at any point. It's a choice. It's a preference. So those two things, false equivalencies. Anyways, as usual, let me know what you think. Drop a comment. This is Poofy Man signing out. Oh, fuck.
Welcome to Dallas, the home of the killers. Welcome to Dallas, sharks and gorillas. The girls, they going harder than Welcome to Dallas, we lost some legends. Welcome to Dallas, what hood you reppin', be careful. You know the rest.